All right. The joys of learning how to be my own tech person. I feel called to speak on the creative tension of being an entrepreneur who wants to dismantle capitalism. And the more that I learn about what got us here, what built America, the empire, and the ways that our manufacturing industry is still dependent on slavery, and how much of the basis of capitalism is the illusion of scarcity, that actually there are enough resources for every person to have all that they need. To have a comfortable life, even with our 7+ billion population, and that the crises that we find ourselves in, many of them are manufactured in order to funnel resources towards a small percentage of the population. It's not actually necessary. Supply and demand is a construct. The more I understand that the crises that we find ourselves in, the potential for climate collapse, the economic challenges that much of the world is facing, that all of these are closely or distantly, but still somehow linked to the colonialism, to the illusion of scarcity that created capitalism, the more I, question my own complicity in that. And I don't have a clear answer, but I felt like I wanted to share and speak to it in case there's some kind of inspiration or wisdom that might come from my own grappling with this, this call, this yearning that I have to contribute to the world in a meaningful way, to be my own boss, as some would say. And I've had some JOBs over the years, but most of my adult life I've been committed to doing work that I found meaningful, and I've had a lot of support to make that possible. I've had a lot of access to resource, relatively, to make that possible, but it's also been a struggle, and I've had significant moments where I've had no money, and have had to learn how to be creative and what it is to build a relationship when I don't have monetary resource, but I have connection and friendship and other kinds of skills to work with. And so I find myself in a position where I have a deep, meaningful connection to my art, and this sense that I want to contribute to the revolution in positive ways, which, as I understand it, includes reaching more people with my message and my words, and sharing what I know. But I also feel the part of me that wants nothing to do with social media or technology or any of the systems that I can recognize more and more have kind of brought us to the brink of collapse in many different ways, and are built on the enslavement of my ancestors. And so as I lean into that, as I breathe into that, what I keep returning to is paradox, the power of paradox, and our capacity to hold seemingly contradictory or opposite ideas without valuing one over the other, but through that discovering what our own values are and what ways that we wish to weave reality into being by how we navigate this tapestry. And I shared a video some bit ago about that included speaking to gravity, and gravity as the field between us that enables sound to travel because of the tension that it creates. And I feel like we can also have a gravity of concepts, and right now it's holding that capitalism as we know it is not even failed, it's actually set up to be extraction and extortion based, to be for the benefit of a few at the expense of most people, human people, and more than human people. So holding that is an unhealthy system with its end game meaning, its end game being the great destruction of life on this planet, especially humans, so that is unhealthy. We can't continue as it has been, and more of that is being revealed right now in this great time of how unhealthy and destructive those systems are. But we haven't created on any kind of large scale yet a way of being that's actually sustainable. And so we're in this bridge, and the inquiry that I'm in is, how do I hold the understanding, like these different nodes of, okay, this isn't working, and I have a sense, and I have read some things that indicate there is the potential for a regenerative, truly healthy, truly life-supporting way of being, a community-based, emergent, cooperative way of being. Well, we don't quite have that fully yet. I definitely see that it's happening in nodes, but those nodes are also threatened by the people and thought forms holding on to this more destructive way of being. And what I'm leaning into in my poetry and my perspective is there a way that tension between what I could perceive as like a healthy possibility and an unhealthy possibility, like the end game of capitalism being utter destruction, and the vision of a healthier way of being, is there like a portal to the possible in the tension between those two? Do those together, if I can hold the paradox of these different understandings as like a, holding like a piece of fabric so that it makes something that has a little bit of tension that could like hold a ball or something, like, can I hold that? And can that tension be in itself a weaving of a fabric, of a way of being that can help us walk? Can that be what makes the path when we don't quite, I believe we don't want to continue what has been operating for the past few hundred years, again, benefiting a few, hurting many, many more. But we also are creative beings, and we want to be building and sharing, and commerce has the potential to be healthy if it's reimagined and re-envisioned. And we do need to establish an exchange of value, or like reciprocity, or like, how can I pay my rent and my food, and like the things that are still necessary within the late stage capitalism that we're in, the resources that are still required to navigate where we're actually at. Can that, holding, okay, this isn't healthy, but it's still a relative existence. This vision of a regenerative possibility isn't fully happening yet, but it has some gravity of its own. It has some feeling of truth and healthfulness around it. Can I hold those two? Can I honor my longing to create, to share, to reach people, to have a network, and let that all kind of messily and incoherently towards coherence blend together to help create the path, to show the way, to give us, stepstones to walk towards something actually possible that can be grounded in reality and sustainable, that helps us as individuals and collective shift, incrementally towards a healthier way of being. So that's my invitation, especially for those of you who are also entrepreneurs, or, just in that inquiry of like, okay, capitalism doesn't work. It's for everyone. It's definitely unhealthy, but I still have, a job and kids, or whatever it is that you have, that, I need to keep a roof over our head and feed people. Where is can we just stay in the inquiry of like, how do we make this healthy transition, honoring everything that is, and that power of the paradox to help us see possibility. So I'll end this share with a poem that I actually wrote this morning, being in this inquiry and this experience of the tension between wanting to be seen and wanting to honor what is sacred, and why is it that I want to be seen, and what is that linked to, and is it healthy? So it's a work in process. I don't know that it's quite done yet, but we'll just say it's a draft. And what current shall we follow in the currency of now? How to stay relevant when the yearning to belong is never fully felt, though it still draws us on, and we find ourselves in the maelstrom of uncertainty, the hall of mirrors of a destiny cracked, betrayed, unraveling the seams at the edges of reality. I am not an object, a museum piece, a dead thing to be analyzed and owned. I object to the concept that my vitality is for consumption, my lived experience up for debate, my existence for anyone's glorification or illusion of riches. How to protect what is sacred while honoring the heartfelt longing. How shall this be? How long shall this be? This desire for safety in tense gravity, with the understanding that our humanity is born of community. To whom shall we belong? This is Naima Lightseed, your medicinal poet. Thank you so much.